But one thing that's always really that's always interests me about Star Wars is the whole idea. Why it almost seems like two completely different concepts. Like, why would you take all these people fighting a war in space and at the same time have this almost this supernatural idea like the Force and like the Jedi, and which could easily be at home in sort of a fantasy type story. Why would you take that and merge that with a sort of a space war story? And it's weird. It always you know to me seemed like like a zebra sewed on to a hippopotamus. It's where is that coming from? And I never had too many ideas about it until I really got into another sci-fi movie, which I thought was pretty interesting. Well, I thought, like, everybody thinks it's interesting. It was 2001: A Space Odyssey, which is probably, I don't know, one of my favorites, if not my absolute favorite sci-fi movie of all time. But one of the the idea in one of the ideas behind that movie is that basically when they're flying the Jupiter, the first manned mission to Jupiter, they have this computer, this intelligent, self-aware, living computer that controls all the ship's aspects, and the computer turns on them. And the computer turns on them, and it kills all of the crew except for one guy who survives and it gets back and kills the computer. And the guy kills the computer, David Bowman, I think that was his name. But he goes in. When they finally get to Jupiter and they get to the monolith, which is this big weird black square thing floating in space. He gets in the space pod, he goes and he flies into the monolith, and he goes into some weird gateway, maybe like it's a wormhole or something like that. But he dies, and then he comes back as a space baby. But yeah, he ends up pretty much having superpowers. And the whole point of the movie is that, or at least these parts of the movie, is that in space it's such a bizarre climate, a bizarre environment that we're not going to be able to survive at all without technology. Now on Earth, if our technology breaks down, we can just live like the Amish for a decade or a generation and hopefully build it all back up again. But if it happens in space, we're just going to die. Which is why, humans are completely fish out of water in space. But if we were able to evolve beyond that somehow and come to where we could traverse space without technology, and then we would become the perfect astronauts, and that's pretty much what Dave the astronaut ends up doing at the end of the movie. Now, 2001, you just have to look at 2001, and it's really, just the artistic feel of the movie. It's just an obvious influence on Star Wars, and sometimes I wonder if it influenced a lot of the philosophy of it as well. In the first Star Wars movie, Star Wars: A New Hope, where you know, they're finally gonna go destroy the Death Star. They get, you know, and one of the guys even says that, you know, there's no way the computer can hit the porthole. And they go and they try it one time with the computer, and the computer can't do it. And you know, and then Luke goes and tries to do it, and he's going to try it with the computer at first, but then he decides not to use it, and he uses the Force instead uh, to shoot the torpedoes at the exhaust port, and he hits it, and what it sounds similar to the message of 2001, where when we, you know, in space, we're going to have to be able to evolve beyond our technology. And what it seem like is that the Jedi are sort of the beginnings of that, or an offshoot of that, or something like that. They're human beings becoming the perfect astronauts. Of course, you know, I mean, the main difference of that is that in 2001, it's, you know, computers are depicted as possibly becoming self-aware or intelligent or alive in and themselves. In Star Wars, it seems like George Lucas seems to have been a little more skeptical about something like that. You know, I mean, you know, the droids and the computers, they seem smart to a certain extent, but they don't seem like they'll ever be quite as intelligent as human beings. And so it's not so much, you know, it's not so much that the computer becomes dangerous to the human beings in in threatening them directly. It just becomes an inadequate tool for their survival.